Hey, I thought I would take a quick minute to show you how I make curved drawer boxes. So this is obviously the front of the drawer box. This is bendable plywood, two pieces of 3/8 bent together and glued up with a cold press glue. You could also use a contact adhesive as well. But anyway, that's what I did there, and then I laminated the front of it with a little bit of backing material just to help it kind of hold its shape a little bit better. These sides are just simply oak. We've got basic dado running down the bottom, and then we've got a dado on the back as well to accept the back. And then the back, of course, also has its dado in it as well. Anyway, then of course we've got the bottom panel that has the curve cut on the front of it. And one thing I'll say about making anything curved, especially drawer boxes, is you have to know your overall outside radius, and then you have to step that radius in depending on how thick you want your drawers to be, how thick you want your doors to be. So a radius on the outside of your cabinet could be, say 30 inches. And if you want a 3/4 inch thick drawer front or door, you need to step that back, which is actually going to be 29 1/4. So you need to be thinking about those kind of things as you're stepping these back. If this drawer box is going to set in the front of your cabinet, say it's going to set back 1/8 of an inch, you need to calculate that as well. So anyway, a couple things to think about when you're making curved drawer boxes. Okay, so anyway, I've got my hole that's cut in my tool. I've calculated how far over I want this pocket to be from the edge of my front so that I can cut exactly 24-inch wide drawer boxes. So I can put this part in here, my pin rests down there, and then this tool, it'll only go where the pin allows it to go. And then I activate that bit. Bit comes up in there, and then of course it's going to cut the pocket right on the bottom. It's nice and clean, nice and safe, and very consistent. The pin router, or in this case a reverse pin router, is a tool that has a router bit essentially in the bottom or the top of it, and that bit obviously is going to spin, and then there's a guiding pin either on the top or the bottom that is in line with that bit. So it's a great production tool. So you can see the pin right here is the guide, and then the router bit itself, in this case a 1/4 inch router bit, can be moved up or down to whatever height you desire, and it's great for making all kinds of complex shapes. And it's essentially the poor man's CNC before CNCs were a big thing. So it's a very useful tool. I've used it throughout the 20 plus years that I've been building furniture for private jets and for offices and private residences and so on and so forth. So, but very handy tool if you can get one. I definitely recommend getting one. I actually prefer that the bit is in the top as opposed to the bottom, but this one was such a good deal. I had to take it, and I regret it a little bit, but it still is very useful. It's a very good tool. But anyway, that's pin router. I'll make sure my tool is flat on my work surface, and I'll make sure that my curved part is resting in my tool. I'm going to put a quick clamp on there just to make sure that nothing moves. Okay, so all I'm going to do is I take my router and I line up my 1/4 inch bit to top dead center, and then I take a scale is what I like to use. You can also use your regular tape measure. I always use tape measure with hundredths because hundredths are just more accurate than fractions. Anyway, I measure it out and it comes out to about 80 hundredths, or a little over 3/4 of an inch. I put my scale down here. I measure at 80. Throw my block of wood on here, and that's literally all I do. Take my clamp, put my clamp on there, sets me on. It's just extra protection. The double-sided tape holds very well. And then anyway, I can fire my router up, take my panel, and I literally just run right along like so. And that's basically all there is to it. I don't spend a bunch of time creating special jigs or anything like that. It's just set it, rip it, and throw it away, forget it, you're done. So that's all I do. So here's our box. It's just literally just held together. And honestly, the radius on my front is a skosh off, which is fine because the radius on my base panel is actually very accurate. And when I clamp this drawer box up, it will actually help to keep the radius on this drawer front true, which is what you want. You don't want a super sloppy base panel, especially with a curved cabinet, because I've noticed that unless you cut your curved panel out of solid wood, it can move a tiny bit. Over time, it will want to become more concave or more convex. It's just the nature of the materials we work with. Wood naturally moves. Plywood moves. Plywood being much more stable. But things move. So you have to allow for a tiny bit of flexibility, but definitely make your bottom fit in there pretty well. It also helps keep your drawer box square. So yeah, just a couple things to think about. That's how I do it.